Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the much anticipated, long awaited return of the D.M.C podcast, episode number 47, with your hosts today, tall, tanned, young, and lovely. It's me, Adam Rigby, and my very special guest today. She's a national treasure who discovered by helping people work out, she had a unique gift and calling for helping people work in. She re-imaged her business and her life starting Worthco, and with that Lighthouse, a program designed to uplift, empower, and enlighten women as they navigate and search for self-acceptance and a higher self-creation. She made the bold decision to move her life to Bali and grab the world by the horns, and she has genuinely and lovingly taken us all on that journey with her. She's a breath of fresh air. She's a warm, sunny day. She's Courtney Durr. Courtney, lovely to see you.
My cheeks are sore from just listening to that.
Woo! I mean, it's a lot, and I really didn't have to dig deep at all for those words. And I've known you, I guess, a while through the gym and for Les Mills, and have had the pleasure of your company in the mornings, coming into class, timing your entry perfectly, just as the door closes and the lights go out. Not that I'd ever pay you out for it, but
Never.
yeah, I've got to say, every time that I see you, every time that you walked in the door, you are just a breath of fresh air. Your smile, your charisma, you're just energy. You bring something unique to a room, and I really miss that. So there's a little hole, there's a space on the bike, and it will always, in my mind, be your space. And you're always welcome back in the class, and yeah, back in that environment, because you were part of the energy and what makes fronting up to teach really wonderful for me. So yeah, just to say I miss you and how wonderful it is to see you.
Oh, honestly, that's just so lovely. And I mean, it must be a mirror. We must be a mirror to each other, because the feeling is so mutual. Like, I just, I feel like I don't walk into every class like beaming, but I was just so pumped every time I went to your class. It was just like a sunshine with us too, and definitely feeling like you brought the energy and I just matched that. So yeah, I'm really grateful for you.
Yeah, likewise, thank you. And I guess that's what we discover on the journey, eh? So light attracts light, and when you're in the right environment amongst people that are like-minded, of a similar energy, your energy shifts and things just change for you, and you know that you belong in that space. And it's such a great feeling, eh? There's a warmth to it. And a space that I've always tried to create is a space where you feel free and accepted and home. Home. Now, a couple of things before we get started. I just want to acknowledge, yes, it has been a while since the D.M.C podcast has been online and in your hearts and minds. Obviously, I have immersed myself fully in a new role, and I don't like to suck at anything. So I have gone deep and given it my full love and attention. But this was always part of me, my destiny, and my purpose to come and chat to people like you, and to express myself and my thoughts, in the hope that it will help someone, right? So the D.M.C podcast will never go away. It will be here as long as I'm here, which hopefully will be a long, long time. And I just want to express my thanks, my warm thanks to people who have reached out and said, hey, we miss you. When are you coming back? The episodes are great. So I just want to really say thank you for the level of support and people reaching out. It means the world. It means the world to me. So yeah, certainly grateful to be here. Certainly grateful to have you here, Courts. And man, what a ride! What a year for you. And at times, I guess it's gone super slow, but also on the back of that, as we know, life moves super quick, and you're back in New Zealand. Again, from the introduction, you made the bold decision to pick up your life and move a significant distance away What I really love about the journey for you is you're so open with sharing how you're feeling. Um, every single emotion, you know, the kaleidoscope of emotions that you feel is so refreshing that you're able or have the ability to share it, because it takes a certain level of bravery, right? When on Instagram we're notorious for showing the sunrises, the sunsets, the sunny days, and you are expressing, yep, that's great, that's part of my life, but also there's stormy days, there's tears, there's doubt, there's fear. And inherently, that's what makes life wonderful, right? The balance, the journey. So can you take me through the transition for you, again, coming from the introduction where you started as a trainer, and when was the moment that you really started to feel that this was you had a higher calling, that you were really starting to lean in and had a real purpose to help people, and a deeper connection with empowerment and enlightenment and just helping people embrace the journey and the balance in life? Was there a moment for you or a time that you just decided to shift gears?
No, I don't think there was one specific moment. There was just like a multitude of moments. I think that my calling came from an early age, but I wouldn't have known it. Like, I come from a sporting background, so I played sport like basically ever since I could walk. I was thrown into team sports, and I always seemed to be like the young gun in the teams that I was in, but always just craved being a leader, and I wasn't shy to, have my voice heard and kind of stand up and speak up in whatever sports I was playing. So there was always that. I also, through playing sports, got the interesting experiences of different coaches and how they're, having a mentor, having a coach can severely impact your life, both positively and negatively. So I had really positive role models, and then I had coaches that weren't suited to me, that really made me feel not great about myself and maybe question myself. And as like a young woman whose mind was just being molded, just starting to kind of believe in myself. So having those coaches at that time was only on reflection. I only reflect on it now and I see how big that was. But I think that's kind of where the seed was. But yeah, for a lot of my life, my calling was in the physical well-being space. Like, I loved working out. I loved just helping other people work out. I love fitness and all of that. And I think that the small moments kind of happened gradually over time. When I started personal training at Les Mills, I mainly worked with women, and in all honesty, I think that came from doubt in myself. I just didn't think that I was smart enough or knew enough to help men, and that's fine. Like, I think I was quite young coming into the industry. But I got the privilege of working with so many different women. And when you're a personal trainer, yes, you're helping people work out, but you also form as you all know, Adam, like, you form such a special relationship with them, where you see them every week and you start to really form a solid level of trust with one another. And I really had the privilege of women trusting me and kind of sharing bits about their life outside of the gym. And they were really vulnerable with me in terms of the way that they spoke about themselves. And it just didn't translate for me. I saw these incredible women doing amazing things and just growing, like, physically, doing amazing things. And then they'd speak about themselves in just really heartbreaking ways. And I just was like, how can you not see what I see? And so I think that was definitely those little moments kind of started to bring me back to my calling. And then I think I something I'm really proud of myself for is following my joy and kind of listening to my intuition. And I basically created this space outside of the gym where we still worked out and it was still about working out, but I just wanted women to not have to feel like they needed to talk about their bodies and their weights and, you know, competing and comparing. I was like, let's just bring everyone together and we'll just have fun and we'll move our bodies and we'll speak about things like gratitude and goal setting. And it was very lighthearted at the beginning, and it was really like this side thing. And I never meant for it to be anything other than just like this kind of wholesome 2 hours a week. And I say that there wasn't anything big, but there was one night where I definitely felt a massive shift, and I was kind of like, I can't do what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it anymore, and I really need to make a difference because this is just heartbreaking. And basically I had a goal setting, I set up a goal setting night for the girls, and my friend organized it. She ran it, and I was really excited to talk about dreams and happiness and all of that. And then during the workshop, she was like, okay, guys, we're going to talk about the inner critic now. And I want everyone to write down on a piece of paper 5 things that you negatively say about yourself. And I remember, like, I physically remember sitting there being like secretly mad at her. I was like, what is she doing? This is not what I wanted. Like, I wanted us to feel good, and she's making us feel terrible. I'd never done kind of any introspection at that time. And so then we wrote down all of these things, and I didn't like doing it myself. I felt like I was giving power to these negative thoughts. And then she went one step further, and she was like, okay, now I want everyone to read it out. And so there was 20 women in this room, and we went around the circle, and she got everyone to read out what their inner critic said about them. And so I just saw each woman say, you know, I'm not a good mom, I'm not good enough, I'm a fraud, I'm unattractive, I'm hard to love, I'm a bad friend, I'm a burden, you know. And I just watched, and by the end of like it coming around to me, I was in tears. Like, I just was so shocked that these women I just thought were amazing mums, beautiful, confident, had these thoughts about themselves. And I guess like that night changed everything for me, because I just realized, wow, everyone is walking around with these thoughts. It doesn't matter how someone appears on the outside, everyone's walking around with these thoughts. And I just want to normalize talking about it, and I want to bring a light on it so nobody feels alone with their thoughts and those challenges.
Wow, I mean that's a lot, right? And you're right. I mean, I'm the same. It was all sunshine and rainbows, but sooner or later, and the purpose of the D.M.C, you know, deep and meaningful chats, it's a deeper, more meaningful connection to what it is to be human. And on that journey, when you're having a conversation, you learn so much about yourself, right? And it is like holding up a mirror. And then you realize that people think and feel and act just like you. But what's amazing about that, all of these things that we carry around, like writing down the bad things about us, the self-doubt, may have come from a conversation or a poison person in our life, someone that didn't really understand us. We were in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. And those small things can stay with you forever. You know, they can stay with you forever, the power. And a lot of that stuff is just said to be hurtful, right? It's thrown out with a direct purpose to be hurtful. And it's never a reflection on you yourself. It's just the other person trying to deflect or reflect the pain that they feel.
Yeah. Just on that, I think that, like, I just have a really, really great level of compassion for myself and for others now doing this work, because the people that, even if people, you know, said hurtful things or did hurtful things, even if it was with, you know, malice, it comes from their own, like, as you said, their own pain. And so it's not these thriving, healthy, happy humans that are hurting others, it's these hurting humans that are hurting others. And so it's kind of that, knowing that and doing this work has helped me kind of, when people do judge me or say, you know, things that aren't nice. I have a level of compassion for them because I understand that it does come from their own pain that they've experienced, and then, you know, and then their parents' pain, and then their parents' pain. So it's like in doing this healing work, you're really making a massive ripple effect. And it sounds a bit corny, but like to the whole world. Like I truly believe that.
No, that's right. And the message for me, as you probably know, every Monday, I would say if you can be anything, be kind, but first to yourself, right? And it puts you in a pole position to be kind to everything and everyone. And don't we all want to live in a world that is we're surrounded by kindness? You know, where the gift of a conversation or a positive comment, you look lovely. Yeah. And
Yes.
thanking people in a genuine way for the positive, for the so many positive things that we do in life, for the little things. And how do we feel? You know, how does it make you feel when someone just comes and says something as simple as, "Hey, I really love that color on you," and you're like, "Ooh."
Literally, like it makes your day. And the thing is, like my experience in Bali, the way that I made friends was with genuine, like I had a genuine kind thought about someone, and instead of keeping it to myself, I expressed it, and it was received with just such like openness and gratitude. And that like most of my friendships started like that, because it was this genuine share of, you know, I see you, I like this about you. And it's a really vulnerable thing to do, to kind of put yourself out there. And I think that, I guess the way that I feel about it now is I think that I would always rather be the person that smiled than the person that didn't smile back. And, you know, like if I give the kindness and it's received in a, oh, that's weird, or okay, that's a bit much, then that's fine. I'm not responsible for how someone takes it, but I am responsible for, you know, spreading it and speaking and expressing myself honestly. So yeah.
So can you talk to me about the lessons that you've learned? And obviously, when you're in the process of helping people, you hear things, you do things, you see things, you react to situations and in conversations, and you know, in an instant, there could be a lesson, there could be something that shifts you from one space to another. So the part of your journey that you've been on in terms of helping people, can you comment on how that has helped you as a person, as a human, in terms of your growth and development?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I was first starting out, and you know, at that goal setting night, and I heard everyone that, you know, speak so mean to themselves, I was like, oh, I really want to help these people, as if like as if I wasn't experiencing it myself. But it was way more easier to help others and to see it in others than it was to look in the mirror and to see my own perceived flaws, my own struggles, my own ways of, you know, ways that I've hurt people. And so I think that in doing this work and helping others, I cannot do it without doing the work on myself first. And because it will come from an ingenuine place, it will come from a preaching place. I cannot possibly understand what someone's going through if I'm not really allowing myself to get raw with my emotions, and actually explore the ways in which I'm scared, the ways in which I've made mistakes. I think that because I am open about that stuff now. I wasn't at the start, like I was just very resistant to it. But now that I'm open, the more that I can be vulnerable with myself and vulnerable with others, the more safer spaces that I create, and the more women feel safe to come into my spaces and actually be able to express themselves authentically. So I think that my whole business journey has been like a parallel of my own personal journey. It's like, as I have grown and learned more, my business has grown, and it's kind of just this the business grows and then I grow, or I grow and then the business grows. So it's like, I don't know if that's the healthiest thing to be so intertwined into your business, but I'm very much intertwined into it. And at this point, it works for me. I'm grateful for it. And I'm so grateful for the lessons.
Yeah, and in terms of lessons, in life, all of these things that happen to us, and we can reflect, we're great, notorious as humans for looking back and then holding on to that. But the realization, the deeper you get, is that that is part of your journey, and you don't get to where you are, without all of these experiences, be they good and the bad. And I know, sort of behind every smile there are tears, but behind every tear there's also a smile. So
Yeah.
it's the peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
And as you say, I've had a friend that has done Lighthouse, and
What?
yeah. And the first sentence, and I asked her, "Can you speak to me about your experience?" And the first thing was just, "Oh my God." She found it hard to articulate, although she did articulate it, but just the power and the unity, the collective energy, the safety, the intensity in a good way,
Yeah.
that you have created with this, I say, business model, but it's real for you,
Yeah.
a real sense that this is your heart and soul, be it on paper or in modules, and that's the hard thing, and testament to you, because it is hard to throw yourself out there with such vigor, because it is a piece of you
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, right? It is a piece
Yeah,
of
it
you.
is. Yeah.
One thing that I'm really interested in is, you were saying, I've got a calling, it's my your intuition. And quite often shifts in our life, and big shifts in our life, do you think that we're too conditioned to thinking that we need pain to shift, rather
Mm,
than people from a perspective of following their intuition or their energy and shifting anyway, that
yeah.
we're stuck in a continuous loop, and then we need a compelling event or feel as though we
Yeah.
need to suffer to actually shift?
100%. I couldn't agree with this more. Um, I really I think, oh, it's this quote. I'm all about quotes. I'm all about books and learning and everything like that. So yeah, I will probably butcher it, but it's something like, if you don't listen to the tickle of a feather, then you'll be forced to listen to the like whomp of a sledgehammer, or something along those lines. And basically what it's saying, it's like, if you don't listen to that small intuitive voice within you that everybody has, then it will get louder and it will get louder and it will get louder until you have no choice but to listen to it. And often when it gets to that point where you have no choice but to listen to it, it's a really, really painful learning and painful experience where you're forced to change something. And so I think that in life, it's not about like avoiding pain, because I think that pain is important. I think that life is supposed to have pain and have struggle within it. But I also think that we probably do make life a lot harder on ourselves by ignoring those intuitive voices of saying, don't do that, or break up with that person, or leave that place, or sign up to this, or try this, or tell that person this. It's those tiny little voices that we tend to ignore, that help us to follow our joy, follow our intuition, follow our path in a more easeful, joyful way. I think that we probably do make life a lot harder for ourselves than it needs to be, and that life can be easy, and this journey can feel exciting and fun and joyful. Not all the time, but it can. So yeah, I think that I've learned a lot of lessons with the sledgehammer, but I've started, the more I've grown and known myself and trust myself, I have been able to listen to those little tickles and follow that. Yeah.
I guess in a lot of ways, sometimes pain is necessary, right? And that is an indication that it's got to that breaking point, that something in your life, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul has to move. And believe what you like about higher power and energy and why we're here, but being in tune enough to make that shift is one thing. and which you've embraced, right? But you've answered your calling. Or my firm belief is we are here to help people. That's what we should do as humans, right?
Yeah.
And for us, we know because we do it as part of our profession. It's a part of my life, but the gratification that I get, the things that I feel, the lessons that I learn, the knowledge that I get, that enables me to impart more knowledge, to give more gifts, to share more energy. But helping people, I think, shouldn't be a secret. It shouldn't be taboo. It should just be part of who we are. And if we did more of it, if there were more people like you out there actively assisting people and shifting, and as they learn, they help others, right? So it's a snowball effect.
It is. It truly is. And I think that the topic of like helping people and kindness should be spoken about more, but in a more like in-depth way, because I feel that definitely with women, and I'm interested to hear the experience of men, but I know for a fact that people pleasing can often be mistaken for kindness, and helping or over giving to others and undergiving to ourselves can be mistaken as like, being a good person. And I think that it's really, really important for us to recognize what the differences are between kindness and people pleasing, and know that to give authentically from a place of love is kindness, but to give from a place of fear they won't like me, or feeling like I'm not of worth unless I'm giving to someone, then that can be an issue, and it can be an issue to the relationship, and it can be an issue to your own physical and mental well-being. So I think that needs to be explored more, and it's definitely something that I talk about in my work, coming from personal experience of struggling with people pleasing. But I don't know if men deal with that in the same level, but it's definitely
Yes, I mean it's interesting for me, and I came to the realization actually that as a young man, sort of transitioning into the boy to becoming a man, in an environment, in a school environment, I was just surrounded by bullies, and what you do is you can get swept up in it. So what that does is that affects you. It affects your energy. It affects the way you interact, because you really don't want to put your head up, because you'll get picked on. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the one or two alpha males that their job in life is to oppress, is to hold people down. Okay. Because they want to be top dog and they want everybody to know it. And and that's why people mass together, and collectively they perpetuate that poison energy, and they roam around in hordes doing exactly the same thing. So empowerment was never something that I encountered as a young man. And it's only something that I encountered sort of growing into myself. And to be honest, fortunate enough to meet the love of my life. And yesterday was my wedding anniversary, our wedding anniversary. Yeah, 26 years married.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and also bringing up some incredible young women, and being able to share in their experience, and for my role to empower, to uplift, to celebrate everything that they are, to see them grow into themselves, and to celebrate life. It's been part of my energy and part of my growth and development. So
That's truly amazing. I think that the mass sort of thinking and grouping together, I think especially for men, is just really dangerous, and it's really hurt a lot of men's mental health, and it's this idea of like the tall poppy syndrome. So it's like, oh, as soon
absolutely.
as like someone pops their head up, as soon as someone shares their success or is proud of their success, as soon as someone has like a different opinion, or expresses their emotions, it's like, oh, well, we don't do that around here, like we need to bring you down. And what that creates is just more bullies, and then it creates bullies that have children that become and it's this idea of like, it's not okay to be different, it's not okay to have feelings, it's not okay to speak well of yourself. It's really toxic.
After a short segue, we are back. picking up on this wonderful conversation. Thank you to my recording prowess. Yeah, it got ended brutally, but we're back. But we are
You're
back.
like, I'm done with this chat.
Yeah, great to see you again. It's the it's the equivalent of a hang up, right? It's like click.
Yeah.
But mate, obviously still got lots to talk about, which I love. Yeah, so we were more or less coming off that pack mentality, that combined negative energy that can have a flow and effect and continue to perpetuate. But all it takes, I feel, is one person to stand up and the exception to every rule and say, this is enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is enough.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain level of bravery to be able to do that. And I challenge young men and I challenge young women. I love how the generation now, and these are my kids, right? And I'm from the 70s. We're soulful, we're in touch, we're intuitive, we're more about energy and the vibes, and that's flowing through into our children. So I have seen a positive shift. My youngest daughter is an absolute rock star in terms of her heart and her spirit and her soul, and she stands up for herself. And I've always said to her, be yourself, because she is amazing. And she got in situations where the pack rallied up to try and oppress that, to hold her back, and she's had the ability to rise out of that with some personal help and with some professional help.
Yeah.
So what would, in that situation, if you find people that are struggling, do you have any advice or not so much a step by step, but something we can do to just give us the power and ability to stand up or to step out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think such a big thing with this is, and I always come back to the compassion piece, because I just don't think that people are either bad or good. I don't think that. And I think that people are coming from love, or they're coming from pain. And what that comes out as is, if it's coming from pain, it feels hurtful, and it is hurtful. And so I think that compassion for those people, for everyone, for yourself, for them, and understanding that definitely with the pack mentality, it's this idea of like, okay, this person does this and they belong in this box, and this person is labeled this and they go into this box, and this person is this, and it's our subconscious way of controlling things. And humans want to feel in control. Humans want certainty, they want familiarity, they want to know that they are not at risk. And that's just like a biological thing. It's like, okay, that is what helps us to feel safe. And so when people start to step out of that box and say, actually, that label, that identity doesn't serve me anymore, I'm choosing to do this, it feels scary to everyone around them. And so, like, for example, if you there's so many different identities, but some of the ones that I talk about within Lighthouse that the girls share is around like the identity of being the fun party person, for example, like just using that example. And everyone knows them as the person that, like, they're always up for a good time, they're so fun to be around, they just bring so much joy, and you can always guarantee that they'll be there for Friday drinks. And then when that person starts to reflect on their physical, mental, financial well-being, and they're like, actually, you know what, going out every weekend isn't serving me, and I want to start to, I'll go out every now and then, but I actually want to get up early for the gym, or I want to have some quality time at home with my family, whatever it may be. And then they start to say no. The people who receive that no, who know that person as the identity of the party person, they're like, what? That, and it feels dangerous to them. Subconsciously, it feels really dangerous to them. And so they, they'll try and say whatever they can or do whatever they can to bring that person back within their identity. And so in terms of like breaking free of that, I guess it's, we can't wait for people to understand us, to like us, to approve of us, for us to do the things that benefit us. We have to validate, approve ourselves first. And everyone else will catch up eventually. but we have to give that to ourselves. We have to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So, okay, Courts, you're choosing not to go out on Friday nights because these are your values, and this is who you want to become. This is the person that you want to become. This is why you want to do it. And these are the obstacles that will pop up. But because I've kind of reflected and I'm intentional about why I'm choosing to make these decisions, why I'm being deliberate about how I spend my time and who I spend it around with, then I know why I'm doing it. I know who I am in that moment. And so that when someone comes with this, like, bullying or manipulating or guilt tripping, I can see that for what it is and not be swept up in it, because I'm grounded within myself. And, eventually they'll catch up, when I keep making those decisions, keep making those brave decisions to do what's right for me, people will eventually catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean the garden grows where you water it, right? And I'm a massive fan, and I've learned, especially over the last couple of years, is manifesting through action. And if people see you in a certain light, I think the moment that we need to take responsibility for it. If you're seen as a party person, if you're not taken seriously, why is that? If you want to step into a role, why not push yourself into that role now? Why not empower yourself? Because it's in all of us. So I firmly believe it, right? We have the ability, we have the power, we have the intelligence. As much as people will try and hold us down and put us into those boxes you've eloquently described, essentially it's up to us.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it myself by just leaning into seeing myself in a different light, promoting myself in a different way, talking a different way, feeling a different way, acting not outside of who I am, not outside of the boundaries of who I am as a human, but shifting gears and pushing myself forward, promoting myself in a way that is positive rather than negative or detrimental to me.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing the shift. Hey, I had a wonderful conversation with a young lady who was in exactly that position, who was saying, I'm having trouble here. People are seeing me in this light. And I said, I've had many conversations with you and I see you. You're intelligent, you're passionate, you're articulate. And what this tells me is that you are ready to shift gears in life. And it's okay to accept this part of your journey and be the life of the party, but you can take that energy, you can take that fun, you can take that personality and pour it into the next stage of your journey in terms of growth and development.
Exactly. And it's not just about like, oh, okay, well, because I'm not the party person, I'm not fun. It's like, well, that's, having joy and fun may be a big part of your values. And as you said, like it can flow into other areas of your life. And I feel that, yeah, it's like for me personally, one of my identities was around the like happy, positive person, which sounds like a great thing. It's like, oh, that's a really good thing to be. And I was the positive person, and people would always be like, you are so lovely to be around. You're always happy. That's what I heard a lot. You're always happy. And what the negative effects that had on me was that I didn't allow myself to feel the other emotions that were within me. So when I experienced feelings of anger or sadness or jealousy or frustration or whatever it is, I just thought that was wrong. I couldn't feel that, and I didn't want to feel that, and I definitely didn't want to express that, because I'm the person that is happy. I'm that person, and if I can't make people happy, then what worth do I have? And so, and it was never a conscious thing. I never consciously thought about it like that. But the more that I did this work, the more I realized, oh, actually, Courts, like I'm joyful by nature for sure. And I think that is a part of me that's innate and authentic. And I think that, yes, that comes from the privilege that I have, that comes from my upbringing, but it also comes from the daily work that I do on my thoughts and the actions that I take and the habits I have and the boundaries I set. So I do feel like I'm joyful. That's a really big part of me, but now that's not my identity, and I allow myself to be sad, and I allow myself to be angry, and I set boundaries with people even though they don't expect it, or they don't like it, or it feels rude or selfish or mean to them. I'm like, no, this is, you hurt me, and And as a result, I need to have this conversation with you, and this is how I'm feeling. So by not attaching my worth to the identity of the happy, positive person, I've now actually been able to express myself more authentically and care for my well-being and the relationships that I have.
Yeah, amazing. We are going back to the tribal nature of who we are, I guess, in the community, and that can drive a huge part of that, like the energy, like if you're seen in a certain light. And my challenge to anybody is, if you feel a certain way, if you act a certain way that just doesn't sit right with you, you have the ability to step out. And there is a group out there, there is a community, there is a
Yes.
tribe. And going back to my daughter, I said exactly the same thing in school. There are people, if you just look deeper, that really care for you. Not necessarily the people in front, turn around, the people behind you. The people that will catch you if you fall. There is a group, regardless of the situation you're in. If it doesn't sit with you, if you don't feel like you're being yourself, if the energy is different, if you feel oppressed, if you can't speak your mind and your heart, then it's okay to shift, because ultimately it's about investing in the best version of you.
Yes, yes. And the thing with that is that when you allow yourself to be more authentic, like your daughter has done, is she's been brave, she's been vulnerable, she's stood up for herself and what she believes in, and that's amazing. And the thing is, the more we are ourselves, the more we honestly and authentically express ourselves, the more people won't like us, but the more people like our people will like us. If we constantly just go about our lives trying to please people, trying to fit these molds of what people want, then we become these watered down versions of ourselves, and then we attract those sort of people. Because when we don't allow ourselves to be truly seen, then we cannot possibly attract those people that like love us for who we truly are, our weirdness, our ups, our downs, our beliefs, and so it takes courage, but it's, that's such a testament to you as a dad that she has been able to do that. And obviously it's not without sacrifice or pain or hardship, but as a result of, I definitely feel like, your values that you've instilled in her. So that's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, thank you. I know, and in reference to my own situation, professionally, like when I'm talking about career, we're all searching for happiness, and happiness can be a springboard, but sometimes being happy in a situation could also hold you back a little. And that was one thing for me professionally, right? I was really happy doing what I was doing. And for me, it's always about connecting to one thing that you love about your job, and that will carry you through the peaks and troughs, right? If there's one thing, for me, everything I do revolves around helping people. And for my professional job, as boring as it sounds, I do that through implementing technology solutions. So there's a deeper connection for me. So the power in that is investing my time, my heart and soul. I love problems, right? I have a passion for problems because that allows me to get in and assist people in finding solutions. But what I also found is I was happy doing what I was doing. But then I got to a point where there was no growth for me. It was an infinite loop of, I was happy doing what I'm doing. And in some cases, organizations will keep you there because you're great at what you do. And if you're happy doing what you're doing, fantastic. People think the world of you. You amass a world of experience, and an opportunity just came up. And I don't think these things happen by accident, because again, manifesting through action, being professional in my approach, obviously carrying an energy and a little bit of a character, that's me, but also I have a strategic mind. I'm a very deep thinker at times, and it's getting the mix right to present that in a way that flows, right, rather than black and white. Okay, living in the gray is what I do, and I love that area and arena. And I got an opportunity to present it in reality. The conversation that I had with the CE at that time, he said, "Why didn't you do this sooner?" And I said to him, "You know what? I just love my job. I've been happy doing what I'm doing. But the reality is, I know deep in my heart that you will find no one better for this role than me." And I felt that, and I was ready for the shift. So we're all looking for happiness, right? We're all looking to be happy. The realization is okay to be sad sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel as though in your journey, you've really chased that wave, that energy, the joy, the happiness, and embracing the hard times and sharing the transition. Do you think that moving to Bali, do you think that the success there is that there are so many people with that mindset, with that energy, that have moved there for exactly the same reason? Or because I've had a lot of really great feedback about the community and the vibe and the energy, and the people that are there are just open and in tune to a whole nother level, be it vibration, be it energy. Do you think it's a receptive environment, so an indication that community can impact you dramatically?
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to like come back to the word like success. Like, do you think when you ask, like, do you think that the success there was a result of like the community and the openness? And I just think that success, like that is a word that it's definitely like thrown around without taking the time to actually think about what it means. And what it means is completely individual to everyone. And
Yeah,
so when you say, you know, the success there, to be honest, I'm like, it was amazing. And I loved Bali and I loved my time there. And I do feel like I was successful there, but I also feel like I was successful before I left Bali, successful by my terms. And so there's that. I think that one of the things that I said to myself the whole time that I was in Bali was, it's not Bali. And what I meant by that was, I don't want to be so clung to this external circumstance, this external environment, that I feel that my happiness, my success is attached to something that is outside of my control. So, you know, if I'm like, it's Bali, Bali's amazing, everyone here is amazing, my life here is amazing. And then what happens when I'm forced to come home? You
yeah,
know, what happens when I have to come home? What happens? And then, yeah, what happens? So I definitely wanted to make sure that I loved my time here, but I also love my time here in New Zealand. So there is that, but I also recognize that that the environment and the communities that you're in play a massive role. Not the only role, but they play a massive role in your beliefs, your happiness, your sense of success. And I think that Bali does attract those sort of people. So there was a lot of like-minded people there. Firstly, the locals, the Balinese people are amazing. Like they just, every encounter that I had, they're just, I think that Bali, one of the big like underlying beliefs is around joy and happiness and generosity. And so they were just so generous. They were so generous with their time, with their energy. It was just really, it was a nice reminder, because I think that, you know, in this day and age, it can be really easy to kind of be more self-absorbed and to focus on yourself. And so being there really reminded me of that, of like, take the time to help people, even if there is nothing in it for you. And that was proved to me by them time and time again, which was just, yeah, makes me like a bit emotional to even think about. And then the people there were just, the reason why I went there was because I love the ocean. First off, like I just am so drawn to the ocean. I'm for sure like a coastal girl. Like I just want to be at the beach, by the ocean, in the ocean. So inspired, moved by it. So that was really big for me. And then also communities that shared values. So for me, it was like the values around physical well-being, but then also mental well-being, mental and spiritual well-being. So I think that a lot of people go there, they go there alone, and they go there because they want to grow and learn about themselves and run, you know, their own businesses. So yeah, I've never been surrounded by so many people that are like myself. So that was pretty special. And I definitely think that community plays a massive, massive part in how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, and you reflect what you inject, right? And I just think putting you and I know that you would have been a boost to the community, and like I say, a breath of fresh air. The what you've mentioned about the sea, I mean, we're fortunate, we're surrounded by it. We're a little island, not so much in the middle of nowhere, but we are quite
Yeah.
isolated. But the power of the ocean, and all I say to anybody is, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just walk to a beach, walk to the seaside, and it gives you this immense feeling of and perspective, because the ocean is vast, it's untapped, it's this massive ecosystem, it's alive, it's forever changing. We haven't even tapped into the deepest, darkest parts of it. No one truly understands it, but here it is, and we can sit in front of it and just watch it and realize how small we are. And I think you look at Bali. Yeah, I mean, you look at Bali, how the small things are big things, right? Or we make small things big things, and we have a tendency to make big things small things, like the big things in terms of who we are. The importance of our energy, us being who we are, true to who we are, and the small things being things, being things, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I always remember, my eldest daughter Annabelle went to Vietnam and Cambodia on a trip with school, and they spent time in villages where they were helping with education, building facilities. And she came back and she said, Dad, I can't believe it. She said, we went into a village and there was these kids playing, and the greatest gift that I gave one of the kids, and the joy that he had when I gave it to him, was a balloon. And she's got this incredible photo, and I'll try and find it and post it, of just this child clinging onto this balloon with amazement and such joy in something that we see floating in the sky and take it for granted, and that was a real shift for her in terms of iPhones and watches and shoes and all of the things that are thrown at children today, when the basic joy that something so simple, that was a 2-cent item, but was treated with such love and respect. And her heart was breaking, knowing that balloon wasn't going to last forever, right? That it would pop or it would fly away. And stuff like that, things like that, the perspective that we need by traveling to Bali, by going to countries and experiencing true poverty, but the immense joy that people find in their lives regardless of hardship. A combined struggle just to survive, to keep moving, to support each other.
I feel like I have had similar experiences as your daughter. Like, I think I was in Cambodia. It was quite early on, like when I first started traveling, and it just kind of woke me up a bit, to be fair, of just, we have all these things and we're nowhere, we don't appreciate them. And the more I kind of learn about happiness and joy and contentment, like, I think that such a big thing is the habituation of, when it's something that we see every single day, that we have every single day, that we have such easy access to it, it becomes habituated. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but it's like we're so used to it that we take it for granted. And I remember coming back from that like early trip and coming back to New Zealand, and I just saw New Zealand with new eyes. I just saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is amazing. I feel like I've kind of continued that level of like awe and appreciation for this country, but every time I leave and come back, it grows a little bit more. But something that has really helped me with appreciating where I am, specifically New Zealand, is looking at this country through the eyes of a tourist. And like, you can imagine if you've never been to New Zealand and you come back here and you come here and you see the hills and the beautiful clouds, and you see the ocean, and then you see these buildings right beside the ocean, and there's like these big walkways and these really friendly people, and the colors, they're so vibrant, and the difference in temperatures. Oh my gosh, this place is paradise. And it can be really easy to forget that, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean that we're selfish, people who don't know what good we have. Sometimes we are selfish, but like sometimes actually just a reminder of what we have around us. And I think that you kind of embody that really well, and you obviously did that in your past job, where you could see the joys in it, you could see the positives in it. So your mind wasn't searching for evidence of why you hated your job. You could see the people that you like to work with, the different problems that you got to solve. And so even though it didn't fully give you what you needed, because of the way that you thought and because of what you were choosing to focus on, your experience there was a lot more joyful than maybe somebody else that worked there and was just focusing on what they don't have, or what they don't have enough of, or what they hate. So yeah, I think that a lot of the feelings of joy come from what we choose to focus on, and how we choose to look at it.
Yeah, because we're bombarded, right? We're bombarded by large corporates, organizations to say to turn us into mega consumers of all the wrong things, right? And shift us away and talk about success. Are we living vicariously through corporations, and are we getting fed a version of success that draws us away from inherently what it is beautiful to be human and beautiful to be here?
Yeah.
Right. I really true that, as much as I love shiny things, right, as much as I love new stuff, and I'm appreciative always for the opportunity to be able to purchase things, but also the realization that I do work incredibly hard. I do work incredibly hard. We work incredibly hard as a family to get to this position. I'm deep in my tenure on this earth. I'm at a stage where the investment that we have put in as a family unit is paying off in many ways, spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially, all of those types of things, but also giving myself credit for the work that's gone in to getting here. And it's not been easy, nor would I have ever wanted it to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
So do you think we have this perception that life should be easy? Is it promoted, the things we see on TV, that, life should be easy, this is what you should aspire to? Are we getting magnetically drawn away from, the beautiful side of life, what it is to be human?
I think that the one of the worst expectations we can have about ourselves and about life is that it should be happy and easy all the time. And when it's not, we feel like we've done something wrong. We feel like we're broken. We feel like the world's against us. And rather than just, my thoughts now is that life is both and. It's both hard and easy. It's both light and it's dark. It's both painful and joyful. And in the acceptance of knowing that life is going to be both, when I do experience those hard emotions, when I do go through painful experiences, I can see them with clear eyes, and I can allow myself to feel the pain, but I'm not dwelling on it, and I'm not hurting myself over it, and I'm not going down this downward spiral of why me, it's like, okay, this is happening and this is really shit. And so I'm just going to be here and I'm just going to feel it. But I understand that nothing has gone wrong. This is exactly how it's meant to be. And this is how I grow and this is how I learn. And by experiencing this stress or this nervousness or this fear or this pain, when I experience it, on the other side of it is euphoria, is this sense of like great appreciation, of great pride and joy. And I can't remember the quote, but it speaks to, unless you experience the depths of sorrows, you cannot feel the heights of joy. And it's all about contrast, and it's like, we need contrast to really, really appreciate what we have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I as I said, deep in the journey. Just despite appearances obviously looking incredibly young as I do, but one thing I have been doing and recognizing is really my emotional state when I walk into situations. And I do it with fitness a lot, and I encourage people to do it. What is your emotional state when you're walking into a situation? Because it can impact the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act. And my challenge in that situation is you can actually use it as a superpower and use that emotion to good effect, right? As a positive. And
Yes,
if
yes,
and has it been self-inflicted? Is it my self-talk that's got me to that position?
yeah.
Or is it been inflicted upon me? In which case I can just let it go and say it's not me. I can reset, and here's an opportunity for me just to lean into who I am, right? And take control back. So, if you go into, you've had a great situation, a great conversation, and you go into the next one and that perpetuates. Whereas if you had completely the opposite, you walk in with hesitation, but it's an opportunity to dig a little deeper, right? So that's one thing I've been doing. What are some of the tools that you've been investing in terms of connection, like some of the connection tools that you've really learned work for you and can work for others?
Yeah. Well, I'd say number one, I don't think I've like ever done a podcast or talked about like doing the work without speaking about journaling. I'm just
Yeah, amazing.
truly obsessed with it, and it's saved my life many times. Journaling for me has helped me to build a relationship with myself, and we cannot, I want to use my words carefully, but in order for our relationships to be deeply connected and deeply honest and deeply safe, we have to first start with that relationship with ourselves, and we are in relationship with ourselves. And so if you think about if you're wondering like where to start on this journey, think about what does it take to make a healthy relationship. It takes trust, it takes quality time, it takes appreciation, it takes hard conversations, honesty, fun, all of those things. I mean, I should be asking you, I feel like you could safely say you're the relationship expert, Mr. 26 years.
Yeah.
But journaling has helped me to have that quality time with myself, to sit down with my thoughts and really ask myself, like, what's going on? How am I feeling? What's been front of mind for me lately? What's bringing me joy? What do I feel about this experience? Should I break up with this person? Is this right, what I did? And just asking these hard and beautiful questions to myself, sometimes not even asking questions, just getting it out, has really helped me to build a deep level of trust in myself. Like, I know who I am, and I trust myself, and I trust my body, and I trust in myself to make decisions and take bold risks. And that hasn't always been the way. And I think that journaling has been one of those tools that has really, really helped with that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's immense power in speaking your truth, right? And immense power in conversation, but incredible power in terms of writing. So there's recourse, so you remember it, so you can go over it again, so you can look back on things and the shifts that you've made, the situations, how you've handled it, how you've dealt with it, what you were feeling, what you were thinking. There's incredible power in it. And we've always been a massive fan of getting people to have the chat, to write stuff down. So I'm just so glad to hear that's part of your process and what makes you I to use the word successful, but just what makes you an incredibly rounded, energetic, positive, caring,
Amazing. Wonderful.
amazing. Yeah, but it doesn't come without the bravery to hold the mirror up, and the bravery to write things down, and the bravery to share what isn't always pretty, what is dark, to show the vulnerable side of you and give people permission to be themselves. We've got a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to get kicked off this call, and I can reset it. And I think I may have to, but I always like to end this with, is there something that you'd like to share with the viewers, the listeners? One thing that not necessarily you hold yourself accountable, one thing that you believe in, one thing that you would tell a friend, one thing that you would like to share as a parting gift?
I think that what has been front of mind lately has been the power of vulnerability. And I feel like that's something that we've spoken about lots on this call. So it's kind of nice to tie it all together. But in vulnerability essentially just means allowing yourself to be seen. And with, allowing yourself to be seen, taking off that armor, there is risk to be hurt. And that feels scary. And, biologically, we want to run away from that. But in allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, leaning into the discomfort, being honest, opening ourselves up to others, what we get from it is true deep connection. We get to grow, we get to build resilience, we get to see what is really fulfilling to us and make, those choices that allow us to, move closer to the people that we want to be. So vulnerability is scary as hell, but it is one of the gifts, the superpowers that has helped me feel successful in my life. Yeah.
Amazing. So incredibly wonderful to chat with you today, Courts, to hear your insights. And as we were chatting about the beauty of a conversation, it goes where it goes and it flows where it flows. And the incredible amount of joy and energy that I get from you in person and online is unmistakably you. And I just want to really commend you on the power that you have, the energy that you perpetuate, that the mission that you have, and with worthwild.co, the great work that you are doing. I experience it in chatting to you. I know friends that have had the benefit of experiencing Lighthouse, and in their words, it was life-changing. So just to know, as we've discussed, I have loved the opportunity to catch up with you. It's something that I've been really meaning to do for ages, to hear your insight, to talk about passion, to talk about challenges, what it is to be human, has been incredible for me, will be incredible for our listeners. I can't wait to post this podcast, and for people to see and hear more of you. For the viewers, for the listeners, worthwild.co, you can find Courts on Instagram. You'll see a whole range of opportunities for you to contact if you want to. If Lighthouse is something that you think, you feel is for you, you're in such great hands with Courtney. And I mean that, such great hands. Courts, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been an absolute joy, a total highlight of my day. It just felt so easy and effortless. So thank you.
Thank you. And it's just real. And as always, to the listeners, to the viewers, if you can be anything in a world where you can be everything, just be kind. Like, first to yourself. And again, it puts you in pole position to be kind to everything and everyone that you encounter. And what a wonderful world we would live in if everybody thought, felt, and did the same. So from me, Adam, and the wonderful, charismatic, courageous Courtney, it's episode number 47 of the D.M.C podcast. Thank you so much. We appreciate your level of support. We appreciate that you're out there fighting the fight and being you. Thanks so much, team. Take care. See you next time. D.M.C podcast. That's us.
Bye,